What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pop Culture Corner. I'm kicking it a little bit old school on the couch with my old computer. And this is just very bland, right? It's just very blue and basic. But I'm here. We got the panel backstage, just a couple of great guys. And we have some cool things to talk about. Before we get to that, make sure to like the video, share it on social media, so your friends, family, and enemies can watch along with us and become part of the family as well. You can also support the channel further by becoming a member or sending a super chat, depending on what you want or what you can afford. More the merrier, and we do thank you in advance. Love you. So with that being said, let's bring in the crew. So first up, we got Caiden, some loser named Caiden.
Yeah,
he's pretty.
Just some loser, you know.
Just a loser. No, I'm just kidding. You're all right, man. You're all right. But then next up we have Metaverse, who's been a longtime panelist now.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are y'all doing?
I'm all right. I'm a little rusty, honestly. I'm a little rusty.
Rusty? What do you mean rusty?
I don't know what to say. I gotta get. I have a groove usually, and I hit all the marks, but I'm very rusty tonight.
It's like ring rust. It'll come off naturally.
Right. And then next up, the one, the only, William from the Sci-Fi Center. How are we doing, William? William's on break right now. He did this for me because he's such a great guy. Thank you so much, Will.
No problem, man.
All right. So it's Wednesday. And as always, you know what comes out on Wednesday. That was actually a good show. What if? This week, though, not so bad. I did like what they did. I like where they went with it. I just thought it was kind of lame and corny. What did you guys think about the new episode?
I'm handicapped here because I haven't seen it.
Oh, geez.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll refrain from spoilers, but I'll say this, Ty. This is better than... So... You were right about the zombie episode. It was lackluster to me, and I was disappointed. And then I was disappointed with the Killmonger one. That one really upset me because that one had the potential to be really, really, really good, but it fell short on the mark for me. This one though was pretty good, and this is going to be like this isn't a spoiler. It's in the trailer, but a thing that I thought might happen, if you go back and watch my reaction with RJ, a thing that I thought might happen is basically going to happen, and I am excited to see the finale of this season of What If. It's going to be awesome.
Okay. I just thought the episode, I mean, it starts off with an interesting concept, right? It's an interesting concept. It's like, so for William, this is the concept, not the spoilers or anything like that.
You can spoil it. I'm still going to watch it. I'm not going to. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a weird line I don't like to cross. But,
okay.
It's basically what if Ultron succeeded in his plan, right? His plan to wipe out the Earth. His secondary plan, right? To like kill everybody right away. And
peace in our time.
Peace in our time, yeah. So, and that's where it starts. I thought this was going to be a cool episode with all the Avengers like together, but it's not. It's just two. And like, I don't think not even one episode this season have we seen all the Avengers assembled in some fashion. And like I get it, it's what if, and like it's supposed to be stories about what if, but they're telling stories with one or two heroes here and there. And then we got to throw Captain Marvel in there and show you how tough she is. It's like,
listen, I'll be
that.
the first to say that Captain Marvel is not my favorite Marvel character. However, they have to put her in because of where they put her in the timeline. You know, like, and it's also, I mean, let's put it this way though. Like, there's only a list of characters that are like a hand short of who actually gets their ass whooped in every episode, and it's usually Captain Marvel, T'Challa, or Tony Stark. Like, I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. It's like, it's I don't know. But this is a very small topic of the night, and again, just what if just not doing it for me.
I'll say this, Ty. I'll say this to go about one of the points you made. Yes, we haven't seen an episode with all the Avengers yet.
Yeah.
If with what's coming, we're going to see it, and it's going to be a pretty cool concept. What they're doing is they're taking like how they did Phase 1, but on a multiversal cosmic scale, and it's kind of cool in my opinion.
No, I mean, I get it. I get what they're going for here. It just hasn't hit home for me. It hasn't had an impact on, like, I can barely pay attention through the whole thing. Like I'm looking away.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I've had that problem throughout the series in general. Just is one of the reasons why I don't jump right on it. Like when certain shows come on, I'm right there as soon as I hit the refresh screen. I'm in like Titan. Tonight we should be Titans, and I'll be on that as soon as it airs. What if is just something I'm gonna get around to, and I know I need to get to it, but I'm just not compelled. It just doesn't. The pacing of it, and it just doesn't do it for me. But other people love it, so
yeah. And then to each their own
Yeah.
for sure. So Caiden, what's going on with Book of Boba Fett?
So today they released a poster and the synopsis. Yeah, and they also released the release date, which is December 29th. Which the Hawkeye finale is also released on December 29th, I believe.
Okay.
So, or in the same week, because I think December 29th is a Monday, but I don't think they'll do it on a Wednesday because Wednesday is January 1st. Or December 31st, whatever, it's a holiday.
Okay.
So they're like, so it's December 29th. And they released a synopsis, which is the Book of Boba Fett, a thrilling Star Wars adventure, finds legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett and mercenary Fennec Shan navigating the galaxy's underworld when they return to the sands of Tatooine to stake their claim in the territory once ruled by Jabba the Hutt and his crime syndicate. So, and there's also been, heavy rumors of, Cad Bane and Bosk showing up.
Oh, please.
And then, and Deadline and Variety, a couple, like when, Mando season 2 was going on, they released once Book of Boba Fett was announced at the end of the Boba Fett episode, they, released an article on the Book of Boba Fett special. And then a week later, they also released an article on two possible actors, Sophie Thatcher, who will be joining a spinoff, which, her character Scad, which is rumored to be a bounty hunter that is a reckless bounty hunter that is new. So,
okay. So for me, right? For me, I don't know the Star Wars lore as good as some of you guys do. So what are you expecting out of Book of Boba Fett? As a series and as it pertains to what happened in The Mandalorian. We can go around the horn with William starting. What are you expecting out of Book of Boba Fett? What are you hoping?
It's hard because this era of Star Wars is a little bit hard for me to get a hold of. It's like, Mandalorian I liked. But I expect more of the type of character you saw from Mandalorian. More of a gangster, wide open, Wild West gangster type of mob type of adventure, but just add Star Wars to it. Because he's basically taking the place of what was, on all intents and purposes, a mobster. So it'll be him basically consolidating his power in that sector of space and on that planet. And just basically outsmarting people because he's going to have a target on his back. So how he outsmarts people and just a little bit more in depth of Boba Fett that you really have never gotten to see. And you know, other than the movies itself, The Mandalorian was the only in depth on screen type of interaction you've had with the character. So looking forward to that.
And I was going to say that, I mean, even for me, who someone who doesn't maybe know as much, I know that people have been clamoring for more Boba Fett for years, and he really doesn't have too much screen time in the theatricals. Like I always thought it was kind of bizarre.
His stuff in Legends is mostly in comics and games and stuff like that. Like he's explored in other mediums, but it's ironic that like where he made his big debut is where he gets the least amount of things to do.
Right, and I never really understood that. So this is what I mean. This is here you go. We're gonna tell a full series about this character now. Metaverse, what are you hoping to get out of this series?
Finally give Boba Fett fans something they can talk about because, and this is no disrespect to either character because I like both characters, but there's a reason why when the sequels came out, at least people in my circles were calling Captain Phasma the Boba Fett of her trilogy because she's such a cool character, just like Boba Fett was a cool character, but in the movies, he does all of nothing, you know, like he does jack shit. He doesn't do anything. And I know there's like all the lore he has in the comics, and like I just said, and the Star Wars Holiday Special, he makes an appearance in one of the shorts in that. But I'm just hoping for something good from Boba finally that is canon, you know, like that's canon, proper canon, that isn't a comic book, or I have to go out of my way to, you know, find out why he is the badass bounty hunter that he is and why people adore this character so much. Right. You know, like right. I'm expecting something really, really good. And I'll also just say this, and this is going to crucify me right here and now. I still haven't finished Mando season 2.
What is wrong with you,
dude? I'm like halfway through it. I'm at the Ahsoka episode,
Really?
and it's not that I've lost interest or anything. It's just I was watching it with my mom, and we just haven't been able to get together to finish it because she loves Star Wars as much as I do. So
I mean, without her,
I guess I can't say too much then about that. Caiden, what are you hoping to get out of this, and what are you most excited for with the series?
It's Robert Rodriguez and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Bryce Dallas Howard working together. Mainly the main person is Robert Rodriguez, who's known for action-packed stuff. So you know, kind of expecting a lot of action. You know, especially what we saw in the Boba Fett episode, and right. Like we saw in the galleries when he's showing the concept of the episode and the series he wanted to do was, you know, this action-packed Boba Fett thing. So it's like. Which, you know, and then, you know, also like how telling the story of how different, you know, Boba Fett is to the other bounty hunters, you know, especially he's been gone for so long, you know.
Right. So do we have any idea on like what I know you just gave us the little excerpt from it. But do we have any idea what the actual story is going to be? Like why we're telling this story?
Well, you know, in the Boba Fett episode near the end when they, you know, revealed the Book of Boba Fett series title, it was, you know, it seems like Boba Fett, because in the OG trilogy, there's kind of like this, like you kind of can sense this thing between Jabba and Boba that Boba doesn't want to do his dirty work, you know. Because right. He works for the Empire normally, you know, and so this is a dirty scum crime syndicate boss who, you know, probably doesn't pay him well or whatever. And as we see also in the Clone Wars series, that Boba as a child was, you know, always the runt of the bounty hunters. So I think this is him showing that he has power and he can be that, you know, big bad that he wants to be.
Right. Did William and Metaverse, did you guys watch Visions?
I did, and I love it. 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. I'm
I didn't like the second episode.
Which one was the second? Wait, how can you not like the Rock Band? Dude, that was so cute.
That took me out. That it was just like
you just don't like rock music. It's cool. You just don't like Japanese rock. Dude, I find it ironic that the Japanese version of that song is great, but the English version is literal ass. Joseph Gordon-Levitt ruined that song for me in the dub. I cannot with that.
Oh, I didn't watch it in the Japanese dub.
The sub is great. That was my first viewing. I was like, yeah, I'm not watching Japanese Star Wars in English first. I'm watching in Japanese because that's what matters to me.
Okay.
I mean, I liked the Elder episode with DK Harbour and Jordan Fisher. That was a cool episode. And
I liked all of them. I mean, all of them had their own uniqueness to them. Yeah. Like, and I said this a minute ago, but I think that first off, this is great for Star Wars because it's tapping into a market that's always kind of, showed its love to Star Wars, but Star Wars has never shown its love back to anime. And so now that they finally acknowledged it, I do believe there will be a second season of Visions. If not continuing the ones we saw in this first season, then different ones, hopefully from other different anime companies. There's so many good ones that could, I think, give their own spin and take on it. But yeah, if they did, they'd probably. I said this in my video that I did for my channel. It would probably be at Star Wars Celebration next year. They would probably announce it then.
Okay. William, did you watch it by any chance?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. It just wasn't for me. The style that it's done in just doesn't appeal to me. I could see how it appeals to a lot of people, though. Never been big in the anime, though. I've watched five anime movies total: Macross, Ghost in the Shell, Akira, things like that. And this was on a level that just wasn't for me. It's kind of like with Star Trek's Lower Deck. It just didn't appeal to me at all. And they weren't aiming for me, and I felt that. So I just gave it a little bit and then kind of moved on. Sorry. I'm open to
listen.
You're fine, man. It's just like I'll say this though, like the first one is like me and I know Dial's in the chat. It's one of our favorites because, as we all know, Star Wars is based off of Kurosawa's work with the samurai films, and that is just a complete full circle for me with the first short because of it being, this Ronin Sith, this Ronin Sith going up against this other Sith Lord who's in charge of a bandit camp that's holding this little town hostage. Like that's just like it's just a complete full circle for me, man. I loved it so much. But this would be like. What I said was it's great for Star Wars that this happened, but there's going to be a generation of kids that look back at this fondly and say, yeah, this was my Star Wars. Like this is probably what got me into Star Wars, but this is like my first true connection with them besides probably the sequel trilogy. Well,
that's what Star Wars is doing well, is they're tapping into all these markets that are going to create new fans, and then those fans will then transfer because they'll want more Star Wars content. Then they'll start, trickling their way over to everything else. And I it's hard for me to believe that there's someone on the earth who doesn't know what Star Wars is, but
personally though, the one problem I do have with all the content that has been coming out, especially with Disney, especially with the sequel series, is I'd like to see them use this opportunity to tell some other stories outside of a certain circle of time and characters. And that was the one reason why on the sequel series, the last two were an abject waste of time for me. I loved Force Awakens, but once it became a nostalgia party that I had lived through. I mean, we're really just retelling my childhood stories that I already paid to see over again with new faces and older people. I kind of like, I'm floating away from Star Wars in a way that I'm like, I'm glad it's out there for people to enjoy it, whatever angle they want to. But at some point, I want them to either go so far back that we're not connected to the same characters that I've been, around for all of my life, 40 some odd years, or go so far in the future where we can build something new and still be Star Wars. I'm burnt out of the same characters that I grew up with as a kid.
That's what I've been saying for a long time with Disney. Is I think Disney, it would have behooved them. I think I said that for you, Metaverse. It would have behooved them to tell
the dictionary is your friend,
different stories, because not only are you telling new and fresh ideas and stories, but you're not tapping and wrecking into what has already made Star Wars so popularly or globally loved. Like, keep that as canon, but don't touch it and don't mess with it, and just tell new stories in a new galaxy or something. That's what I thought.
DL makes a good point in the chat. That I know it wasn't for you, William, and that's completely fine, but that's what Visions did in a sense. None of this stuff is canon, although I did find out that one of these shorts is supposed to be set after Rise of Skywalker, like far in the future of Rise of Skywalker. Actually, that was
Jedi.
interesting.
Yeah, the next Jedi one was.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was like, what the heck?
Unquote, it's like it's a what if scenario after.
Dude, if any of these shorts were to become like actual series, that's the one that needs to be a series, because I like looking up like who did these shorts. Like, I know, William, you mentioned Ghost in a Shell. I know that the director of Ghost in a Shell actually did one of the shorts. I don't know which one, but I know he did one of them, which I found interesting. Like, just like Anime Legends were making these shorts. But yeah, that's what Visions was doing, is telling unique stories. The animation style, and I understand animation style is not for everyone, but that's what the stories were. They were pocketed like things that we've never seen before. Like, we've never seen a Sith Ronin. We've never seen a galactic rock band that gets a record deal from Jabba the Hutt.
Oh,
that was just cute, dude. It's cute. It's harmless, but
yeah, but half the time I was watching Visions, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I really didn't.
What do you explain?
I am not the biggest Star Wars fan.
That's fine.
Half the time I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know who these people
That's
are.
fine.
I also think it just didn't. Like I said, I may be possibly one of the bigger ones, around as far as like it's going, but it's like when I watched it, I just didn't feel like I personally was watching Star Wars. But at the same time, I was open-minded because, like I said, I've been fed the same Star Wars for so long. I was ready for something new, and this was kind of cool, but it was like.
The other thing for me was that, like, in my opinion, it hit all the marks of what Star Wars is supposed to be about. Star Wars, in and of itself, Star Wars is about family, and one of the shorts was about family, and that really hit home for me. I mean, actually, more than one of them was about family, really. You had the TOBY one, the Toby one is a reference to one of basically the OG of anime himself, Astro Boy. Like, there's just so many loving homages to not just Star Wars, but just the history of anime and the foundations of what makes Star Wars for a lot of people. Like, I just think it's fantastic. This is probably the freshest thing I've seen from Star Wars in a minute.
I'm ready for High Republic. I'm ready for High Republic.
What I realized is that all these episodes, basically all of them, were focused on kyber crystals.
I mean, that's to be expected though with Star Wars. Like, Star Wars anime, like, I was expecting like almost all of them to be lightsabers, and that's what I got. But to be fair, though, like, they may have all had lightsaber fights, but not all of them were identical with how their lightsaber fights were done.
Oh yeah, no. Like, the twins episode was totally different from the duel episode.
That's so fucking good. That's some peak fiction right there, boyo. The suspension of disbelief is real. I love that with the death. Studio Trigger is one of my favorite anime companies.
Heel lightsaber, and then
they come up with
umbrella lightsaber.
Studio Trigger is the one that did Kill la Kill. They have some of the most batshit insane ideas, and I love them for it. Like, I know that, like, again, it's suspension of disbelief, but like, bro, when he literally used his lightsaber to cut a Star Destroyer, I was just like in like awe. Like, my inner child was just like screaming, "What the hell?" Oh, it was great.
So,
like I said, I'm glad it's out there for people who want it, because, like I said, I don't want to see Star Wars do what Star Trek did and only create things for old school and close out everybody else. So this was different. It wasn't for me, but I'm glad it's out there for people who want it. So
yeah, and I have something that I do want to talk to William about before he goes. I was going to save this for at the end, but so I've been hearing a lot of things through some sources. I'm not Doomcock. I don't have like a million, but I have been hearing some things about David Ayers' Suicide Squad.
Oh boy.
About a potential release of David Ayers' Suicide Squad in 2022 or 2023. I can't remember which one it was. I have it written down. But I want to know what you guys think. Like, with the Snyderverse and the Snyder, like that whole thing. Is this one of the dominoes that needs to fall, or is it okay not?
No, not at all. And if like I said, if it happens with in any timely manner, I will be surprised. There's no business reason to release it right now, to be honest with you. It's just no business to release it. You already have a movie with the same name out there with a crowded universe in it right now. Unless you were going to connect it in the way that it was designed to be connected and to lead into what they were doing originally, then you're just releasing it for sentimental value, which is fine. But the current management doesn't seem to do things for sentimental value. And the new management would need a business reason to do it. Even if it's not that expensive to put out there. 1 cent for something that doesn't make any sense is too many cents. So if they do it, and it's in conjunction with the restoration of a lot of the other universe that it was meant, now we're making sense. Now we're starting to rebuild a universe and possibly put it on HBO Max, and that would be part of it because you have Ben Affleck's Batman in there. You would get an extended version of Jared Leto, and that would make any future things that you did with Justice League 2 or 3 more sense since he's in there. But absent of that, I don't see any rhyme or reason for it. But if they release it, hey, they do. But
I would for sure watch it.
Yeah.
But I've been adamant in saying that if it never came out, I wouldn't necessarily cry.
No, I've gone this long without it. See, with the Snyder Cut, it was different because it was the Justice League. It was the cog of the universe of the story that they were telling. And without that, nothing else really makes any sense. Without Suicide Squad, there's really nothing that moves forwards or backwards without that. It's just that you get to see what David Ayer wanted. And if that's the only reason, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's what fans want and what guys that are sitting in a boardroom that are laying down the money want. And I don't see where it makes any sense other than, it doesn't move the dial like Justice League.
It doesn't. It does. You're 100% right in saying it doesn't move the dial. I think it's a cool property. I think I definitely support creative control and seeing a vision come to fruition. It's just you are absolutely right. We have Warner Brothers moving in a different direction with James Gunn's version, like his take on the Suicide Squad, and the theatrical cut that we got with David.
That made money, by the way. That was financially successful.
Right.
So
putting this one out would literally just kind of confuse a lot of people.
Yeah, not yet. If we're gonna do it when you have a plan to continue on what originally started with it. Just putting it out there doesn't do any good, because if you go to Justice League 2, you have Jared Leto's Joker, that would be in it. Now it makes sense. You're connecting the dots of the natural progression. Otherwise, you're just putting it out there on the island. And the last Suicide Squad movie you just did, you put out on the island, and it didn't do that well. So I would wait. And none of this stuff, by the way, I'm going to preface this before I go. I don't want to see any new projects announced, go forward with, greenlit until Warner Discovery takes over. I don't want to hear about Batgirl, Blue Beetle. I don't want to hear about any of it. Not saying I don't want them to happen, but I want them to happen right, and I want them to happen with a cohesive plan that is going to be ran by people who are going to be there long term. Most of these people that are doing these announcements are on their way out. All right, most of these people that are doing their announcements are on their way out. Why would I want to hear from them?
Right, and that's why I want to bring you back for. I would like you to lay out the way that you're going to run the company if you are taking over.
We did it that one other day. Yeah.
I want to sit down with you and just document the details of how you would run the company. We'll go down to like how we're gonna keep the lights on and everything. You know
Now,
what I mean?
with preface is that I am a fan, and they are executives, so they have obviously infinite amount of. But if from this, it would be from my point of view, and then they could take it from there and add the nuts and the bolts to it. But as a fan, we are a big part of their business model because
Of
we're
course.
why they're there. So you know?
We're not shareholders, we're stakeholders.
Yeah.
We consume the product and we have a vested stake in what happens with the company and what happens next, right? So
Exactly.
I'd say the biggest, there's no, I hate to say this, but people don't just make movies to make them. That's just not what happens.
Yeah. There's a whole
They make
lexicon
it
involved
to make money every time, every single time.
to make money and give your company leverage and prestige.
Mhm.
Some movies don't make money, but they get prestige.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, if you have a box office bomb, but it wins a bunch of Oscars, that's prestige. That's something that they can take to an investor or somebody who's fronting the bill for these movies and say, you know what, this movie won a 6 Academy Award. You want your name next to that?
Right.
You know, so there's a lot involved that you know that a lot
It
of people
propels the actors in it. It propels the director because now they can slap Academy Award winner. Yeah.
Denny Villeneuve has had a Blade Runner was not a financial success, but it won 2 Academy Awards. It won its cinematographer who had been nominated 14 times. Finally got his first one, and they were proud of that movie.
Yeah, and they should be. It was gorgeous, but I just thought it was boring.
Wow. That hurt, man.
Hey, listen. I love anything sci-fi, and I know this is probably like I don't know the reception for 2049, but I absolutely adore 2049. I love the atmosphere. I've said it before. I didn't want the movie to end. When it ended, I was upset. I was like,
yeah, exactly. Same here.
That's
Same
it.
here.
That's all I get. You bastards! I feel rough.
I stood there in the theater in full comic book fashion, waiting for a post-credit scene because I wanted more.
I wanted more.
I wiped.
I was
the
so
sand
invested.
out of my eyes, and I was like, "Oh man, that was a good nap." That's what I did.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I said the same thing during Snyder Cut, Ty. So there you go.
Yeah,
Cool.
right.
Wow.
You're that's a lie, and you know it. So,
Bro, you already know my score. All right. No, it isn't.
But
All right,
William,
guys,
William, I'm
I'm
gonna
head
get you
back
back.
to the normal boring life here I lead, and like I said, we'll get together, Ty, for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna plan. I'll plan out a date with you sometime this week for because I keep saying that I want to do that, and I haven't done it. But also, I'm waiting for my computer, so cut me a little bit of slack. So, all right, Will, have a good night. Rest of your night working.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All righty. So, one of the next things that I did want to talk about, oh God, you beat me to it, was Secret Invasion. So, Caiden, can you kind of tell me what's going on with this? Because I don't know what's going on.
So Murphy's Multiverse has revealed a couple details on a couple characters. You know, the characters that we know. Well, the actors we know, which is Killian Scott, Ben Kingsley Deer, Emily Clark, Olivia Colman. All those good people. So what they said, what Charles Murphy has said is that Ben Adir is indeed playing a Skrull. He is, obviously we know that he's playing a Skrull. He's going up against Nick Fury and Talos. But the interesting bit here, however, is that Ben's Skrull character will be revealed to have a long history with Talos. So they have history together. Ben Mendelsohn, Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull character Talos, and they he's a general or a spy. So the two possible characters that they presented that he might be playing is Paybok or Kadra K. And then they also presented that Killian Scott is Kingsley's Skrull's sidekick. And like, so he's like, you know, he is the one that's possibly in or on Earth infiltrating for Kingsley's character, which I possibly think, you know, Kingsley is playing Payback, and then
I was gonna say
Killing
Payback makes a little bit more sense.
and then Kadra is being played by Killing. And then they also mentioned that Emilia Clarke's character, she is a okay, she is an agent who is, you know, who has powers that she doesn't know how to control just yet, and she has an unknown origin. So, you know, and everyone has kind of fan casted her and have an idea that she's playing Abigail Brand, the half Kree, half mutant agent of Sword.
Ooh.
So and then
she's playing what?
An agent of Sword. She's like a half half mutant, half Skrull.
You mean that
Abigail Brand.
Not facility, that agency that we've only seen like
in WandaVision.
Like
And
they're a recent addition.
Yeah,
and Far From
we
Home.
We saw them in Far From Home and in WandaVision.
But yeah, relatively new organization.
Yeah, relatively new to the MCU, and then we have Olivia Colman.
Yeah, think about it like this though. Like you got to think. So what Shield, right? So look at it in terms of the Avengers. What was going on in the world, right? So the Avengers in the first 4 phases were all really home, like Earth based. Shield was taking care of that. Sword. Now that the MCU is going cosmic, now they bring Sword in because Sword deals with the cosmic shit, and you know what I mean. It's kind of like
right. Sword has been around since, you know, Captain Marvel days, but this is our first introduction to them. You know,
yeah.
With.
So, quick hot take, and I think DL will love this. I don't think they're gonna be able to do it justice.
Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Like as a story, I agree.
Yep.
I've been saying this for a while now. I don't know why this is a.
I'm gonna see how their take is, but the whole thing with Secret Invasion, the reason why people kept coming back to read the next issue was who is a Skrull and who isn't. The mystery is what led people in, and like I've said this before. I personally think the Secret Invasion should have been a movie over a show, but that's just me. Because yeah, like ever since I've talked to DL about like how if they'd held off on Civil War, we could have probably gotten something more grandiose, as it were.
Oh god, why is this playing over my thingy?
Oh
there
Lord.
Yeah, there was like a super echo. So continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I just think that like if they'd have waited on Civil War now, I agree with you. Yeah, now if they'd have waited on Civil War, like I liked what we got with Civil War, but if they'd have waited, I would probably have been happier because we'd have gotten closer to the comic. But the other thing with that is Secret Invasion tied so perfectly into Civil War because, you know, after this big battle between heroes, it's like there's just the mystery of wait, so this person was a Skrull the entire time. Like, oh my god, how deep does this go? Like it. Secret Invasion was like if Civil War and to be fair, like in the comics, Civil War didn't sell that well, but Civil War was like a main course, Secret Invasion is like that delicious dessert you have afterwards. It just goes together so well.
Right. Yeah.
And so splitting it off like they have, like it's just that irritated me a little bit, but yeah, Sheree, it's a Secret Invasion is going to be a Disney Plus show.
Yeah,
I think
they want to. I mean, we see like with shows like Loki, how big and epic these shows can get. And I think there's no coincidence that they show us this like from the first 3 shows, right? We've got a taste of like pretty much everything, cosmic, magical, and like, you know, Falcon Winter Soldier is kind of more. Well,
I mean, with Hawkeye, we're going to get more of that street level type hero work, and let's hope the rumors for that show are true. With who's returning, but
we can see how big these shows can be. So I'm like half vested, half like you know.
Well,
It
at
just
this point,
doesn't sound correct. A Disney Plus Secret Invasion show.
I'm fully. I said this when I started WandaVision. I was like, all right, this is basically me saying I'm committed to a whole new arc of Marvel shows and movies. Because it's like once you get started, it's not that you can't stop. It's just like it's an obligation in my eyes to like see it through in a weird way. Because like it's like if I started like with Iron Man, and then I caught back up with like a Thor Ragnarok. I missed a shit ton of things in the lineup, and there's a lot of context that I'm not going to get. But with Secret Invasion, it's just that has to be done a certain way. Because like if you could pull up, if I don't know if you, Ty, or Caiden has control of the images, but the one that shows like all the characters, it's the one with Clark. I don't know her full name. Emily Clark, is that her name?
Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark. Yeah, this image right here. This is what Secret Invasion was. You don't know who's who. I also love that Howard the Duck's just giving the meanest stink eye in this picture. But he's like, "What the fuck you? What the heck you looking at, boy?" But no, but yeah, no. Like this is what Secret Invasion was. You didn't know who was a human or who was real and who wasn't. Like it was the suspense and the mystery. And
Well, okay, can I get to? Because there's one more character that might actually like satisfy that part. Christopher McDonald, who's playing a Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones type, who's like this,
oh my god,
who's like
is that the actual description?
Yeah,
that's the actual description. There, he's a Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones conspiracy anti-Skrull, who's like, oh, your governor might be a Skrull, or your neighbor might be a Skrull, like.
Hello,
like,
McCarthyism. Hello, McCarthyism.
So you're telling me that Shooter McGavin is in Secret Invasion?
That's funny.
He plays a news reporter who's has no trust in the government, and then Skrulls being revealed makes him distrust the government even more.
Tell me he turns out to be a Skrull.
That would be funny if he does.
If he turned out to be a Skrull. But
like,
no, that's what the draw of. I agree.
And
with
also,
you.
like when Kevin Feige announced this, he did say that it still holds that distrust and that spy thriller that the comic had. That you don't know who to trust.
I mean, you already ruined it for me when you made the Skrulls good guys, but that's just me.
You're looking at it wrong though. Because Skrull is a race of people. They're not all bad.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but
humans aren't all good. Humans aren't all bad.
No, but what I'm getting at though is like the comic.
This guy's the bad Skrull. This guy's the bad Skrull too. But this person, well, she's not a Skrull, but Talos, Talos.
Ben Mendelsohn's character, Talos.
Yeah, Ben Mendelsohn and his wife, who might be Maria Hill. This whole time, Maria Hill might not even be a real character. And
see, that's what I'm saying though. If they're gonna take these obscure, like Maria Hills, and those are the ones that turn out to be Skrulls, that'll be disappointing. I want one of the
Avengers,
one hero to this whole time have been a Skrull. I think that would put people on their asses. I hope
it's like and then. Because I know that one of these Skrulls.
It was actually T'Challa, and that's how they keep going.
Oh God, no!
They're gonna have to pull some Carrie Fisher magic with T'Challa. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
No, they just show him as a Skrull from now on.
Oh my God! No! Ty, I got you. Watch this. At least for the Black Panther movie, this is how I would do it. If it is supposed to be a war with Atlantis, how do you start a war? You kill the king. Namor kills T'Challa in the MCU.
Yeah,
First off, that would send shockwaves.
That's true. It's okay. It's framed that he killed him. Like it's framed that.
No. Like I think because Namor's an anti-hero. Namor's a dick.
But then you have a Tuma. Who's even the villain. So
yeah, like that. Yeah, but like you.
So I think it's a Tuma that kills T'Challa and frames Namor to rule Atlantis and rule Wakanda.
The beautiful thing about how
if they're going to kill him,
that's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the only way to respectfully like get rid of the character.
Yeah,
is to be like, oh, he was in battle with these group of people and he was killed in battle. And it's like,
which is kind of shit though.
he died the Black Panther way. It's like, okay.
It's kind of trash though, because like he supposedly died in the first film just to die in the second. Like that's just how the dice are rolled though, man. Like that's unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But you have to make it be a story to where, you know, and honestly, you can frame that type of story to where Shuri just shines like the brightest diamond possible to make her worthy of being the next Black Panther. Like you show the audience why she is worthy of handling the mantle of the Black Panther. That way the audiences understand it, and then comic book fans like us were like, yeah, we expected this.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm bored with that, the Shuri thing that I am yet. But it's it seems like a no-brainer for Marvel at this point.
Yeah.
To make her, because with the popularity with her coming out of Black Panther,
and that's a good thing.
It is almost a good thing, because imagine if she didn't.
Oh my God! Yeah, no. If her character was just written poorly, like, oh, there would have been no saving it. Like,
they would have.
People online were like, they should cast M'Baku as Black Panther. I'm like, no, that's not his character. Like, he's never been the Black Panther. Like, it would make no sense.
Well, you can't. Yeah. But Secret Invasion, I think, is going to be a real testament to what can Marvel do with these shows.
I agree.
Do we have any idea of when this is going to be coming?
They'll probably announce a release date at Disney Plus Day, probably.
It's most likely around the when What If came out and Loki came out.
Okay.
So around a little bit earlier this time next year.
Late summer, early fall.
2022?
Yeah, 2022. To release around so then the Marvels, well, you have Black Panther 2 and then you have another series and then the Marvels come out. So it's like, okay, or it's something like that.
Okay.
Because the Marvels kind of the funny thing is that they're shooting the Marvels now, which is continuing the Kree-Skrull War, which also is in Secret Invasion as well. But Secret Invasion is more into the that whole thing.
Right.
While the Marvels is dealing with the parts of Secret Invasion, but more of the Kree-Skrull War 2.0.
I'm looking forward to that.
With Zawa Ashton as the main villain, as this obscure Kree general.
Okay.
And see possibly Jude Law come back. As Jan Rog.
That would be interesting.
I'll say this: anything that can help the Marvels is all the better for me. Like if the Secret Invasion helps the Marvels at least even like at a 5% capacity, like that'll be for the best, because that sequel, in my opinion, has a lot of catching up to do because of the reception of the first one.
Yeah, you also kind of have the whole. You have the whole, Monica Rambeau, Carol Danvers beef that they have right now.
You're gonna have
whatever that may be. You're
gonna have Monica and Carol being passive aggressive towards each other, and Kamala Khan's I'm just happy to be here.
Kamala Khan's trying to reason with both of them. Come on, we have this big.
Oh, she's going to be the one to unite them.
I've been hearing other things about her, that she's not going to be like Mr. Fantastic, but more like Green Lantern.
Nope. Well, yep, that's the case, and I am okay with that. Anything to make this character anything to make this character stand out more and be original, I am all for.
Yeah, that's a weird
because the difference between Mr. Fantastic and Kamala was because Kamala would take the mass of her past and future selves to make her bigger. While Mr. Fantastic was just, stretchy.
Stretchy, yeah.
Yeah. So, but still, people, don't read comic books, don't, look into.
Probably
be like, okay, what's she's an Inhuman who has this power but he's, a metahuman, superhuman who has this. So it's they're both the same thing, but one power got from space and one other power got from some crystals. So it's I can see it, but at the same time, I'm just you can kind of combine the two.
It is somewhat based though on, it's not the origin of it, but come on, man. Some of the panels that I saw in the comics, as far as I read them, it's straight up just Mr. Fantastic's powers at some points. I'm just like, this is like ridiculous to me. But like, again, I don't blame the characters for how they were created. I blame writers and all that for not being able to write the characters like properly. But yeah, like her having these powers, I'm all for to see how it goes, because if it is like, and I said this in one of the chats that I'm in, like DC doesn't have like a hold on the copyright to that specific like superpower, you know, like Marvel can do their own take on it. It doesn't have to be just like based on her imagination or whatever. Like, it can be. I'm interested to see how they do it. I'm interested to see the first trailer. I have recently jumped on the Kamala Khan hype train. I am wanting to see this character. I'm waiting to see this character become something really, really great.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential. I've been like someone just said it. I think Adam said it.
Miss Marvel's going to be a sleeper.
Yeah, I've been saying that. That's a quote from me. So it's going to be a sleeper hit. And
Young Avengers, man, they're going to get the young. Like,
I already know it's going to be a sleeper hit. I already know it. Just the way that the character was made, like the comics, it was also a sleeper, right? And it just blew up because representation and stuff like that. And I really do think the show is going to do a similar thing. And I'm excited to see where it can go. I really am.
Like I've had to warm up to some of these newer characters, and it is because of like how they
it's definitely hard to do it like with the Avengers, right? Like,
well, that's why they're gonna have the young Avengers. Like Kamala can be a young Avenger, and like especially like since they've been like Marvel is fantastic, by the way, at just planting the seeds for future stuff, even if they haven't said it yet. But like I know that Patriot was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's the grandson to, I think his name was Elias. Elias.
Why you just confused me?
The African American.
I know who you're talking about, but
yeah. His grandson.
The name that you said threw me off.
Isaiah. Isaiah. He's the grandson for Isaiah. Patriot is the grandson for Isaiah. And then there's Wicket, who's the son of Scarlet Witch and Vision. Like they're teasing Young Avengers. Like even Kid Loki is a Young Avenger. I don't know if he's gonna make his like entrance into the MCU as a Young Avenger, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Marvel has their hands like in so many cookie jars, and they're preparing to dip their fingers into more of them. It's just, like we're gonna be in for some crazy shit even after like this multiversal stuff is over.
Agreed. So there's I'm probably only gonna do an hour tonight. But yeah. I know everyone's got to go and stuff. But the last thing I do want to talk about tonight is the fact that Barbara Muschietti came out and was talking about how there's not. What was that in Spanish?
I think that's in Spanish.
My Lord.
Espanol.
So basically, what that said was that there's not going to be a trailer for The Flash at DC Fandom. So is this an upset for anybody? What are you feeling about that?
I'm fine with that. I am actually one of the very few people that actually isn't pissed about the current lineup. I finally have I've sat on it for a little bit. I've had to sit on it for a good while actually to be like, do I like this? Do I like this direction? Do I like everything that's being shown here? And I don't have a problem with it. Like I don't. Okay. I know that that's a very unpopular opinion in our circles, but yeah.
Well,
and I'm actually
you got to look at time frame too. Like time frame. It's still a long ways to go till The Flash comes out. And, to drop a trailer at Fandome would mean that it would be a year ahead, right? So
yeah, Caiden said in the it's 13 months away. We don't need a trailer right now. Yeah, I agree.
Right now, right? So next month it would be 12, and that's even still like that's so far in advance. Like
yeah,
the trailer stuff. People need to tailor their expectations with the trailers.
They need to temper their expectations with this movie.
Yeah, trailers are meant to set up a film so that you're excited to go see it. If
it's a hype mechanism.
1 year before, you're gonna forget about it. Not this movie. You know what I'm saying, though.
Well, because of how we consume media as a society nowadays, what is hype now? Unless it's just like attached to here's another big word, the minutia of what pop culture is right now. Like, for example, like people are still talking about the Spider-Man trailer that dropped a few months, like if it was like a month ago or 2 months ago. And now they're excited for the next one, which is supposed to be coming out in November. That's something that gets people excited. The Flash, though, has been a mixed bag of nuts since it was announced. I have been excited for it since it was announced because I just think that I said to my friends, when we were watching the Snyderverse, because they weren't kind of vibing with a lot of what the Snyderverse was doing. I was like, listen, if this doesn't commercially succeed, they can always do a Flashpoint and just make of it what they want. Like that's just what they can do, and that's what they're doing from what it seems.
I do think that this movie is going to be a success.
I do too.
That's I do think it's going to do well. It might not be like, I'm not saying that people are going to love it, but I think it's going to make a lot of money.
Absolutely, it will. Like there are people, and like again, like I'm not trying to give anyone any smoke because I don't want to do that. But a little, I'm just gonna. Everyone remains anonymous here, but I put out a tweet a minute ago. And it was like, basically, it was about the Fandome poster that came out. This is how far back it goes. Like when the Fandome poster was announced, someone that didn't like it because if they saw it as just like a bunch of junk mashed together, they didn't like it. And then I showed someone else who showed like the Snyder. You remember that like fan-made Snyderverse poster?
Yeah.
Someone put that one and was like DC deserves more than just Snyder and all that stuff. And he's saying like, and so like all I put was like, this is two sides of the same coin. Like this proves that like there's just gonna be people that aren't pleased or happy with anything. And I did message the person that posted that second one, and I asked like, what do you think of the current lineup? They think like it's solid, it has something for everyone, and it's not just for a certain niche group of fans. Which I'm not saying that they don't deserve content. I'm not, because everyone deserves something for themselves, but I just think that the variety here is too good to just ignore. But that's just my 2 cents on that.
No, I'm with you, man. I think the fandom. I was a little upset at first with the poster simply because I thought that they kind of like the lack of Henry Cavill, the lack of Ben Affleck, I thought could have been clear wins for the fandom just to see them on the poster. And I think it would have been inclusive to more people. Like they would have felt included as fans, especially with DC touting the multiverse and that everyone can have their versions of the heroes, yada, yada, yada. And then to just X out all that possibility, knowing that Ben Affleck and some more people are going to be in future films, I thought it was going to be a clear win, and just throw them in there, get everyone happy and excited.
I've said this before, and I've kind of been proven right about one of my other points as to why I say this. I said this a while back on y'all's show, man. Like the Snyderverse is not dead; it's just in stasis. Like it really, that's how I see it. It's in stasis, and especially with all these rumors of the air, like you just said, the air cut is supposed to be released like sometime soon. I think when Discovery comes in, they might kick it out of stasis, and just add to the multiverse, because again, you still have, even though she's not really beloved as much as she used to be, because of certain things, but Gal Gadot is still Wonder Woman, Momoa is still Aquaman, Ezra Miller is still the Flash. Like these are Snyder's handpicked people that are still these characters, and while Cavill and Affleck are not present, yes, like the rest of his, like the majority of his Justice League still is. So. Yeah. I think give it some more time. Like it's just patience. But, and again, like I'm not trying to like, again, throw smoke or anything. It's just like I've been mostly like Switzerland about the Snyderverse movement, right? Like I appreciated it at first because, like you said, like it was about getting a creative's artistic vision out into the world, and I was all for that. But ever since it came out, like, oh my God, the like amount of just, I can't go on my Twitter feed, and it's not like, let me put it this way. It's no one within our circles. No one within our circles is who I'm talking about. Just like in general of the Snyderverse fandom. Again, besides the circles that we're in, it's just nothing. I just see nothing but whining. and complaining and like just demanding this thing, and I'm like, yes, and I guarantee you that that's the Snyder Cut did make buco money for Warner. They're just not going to admit it because they're too proud of themselves. But yeah, man, like just because it made buco money, like that obviously should mean that something comes of this, but that's not necessarily always the case, though, and this proves that. And it's just like the fandom's reaction to it not getting what they want is just, it's just upsetting to me because I'm like, y'all are better than this, man. Like a few months before this happened, y'all were like united as one, and now there's like, it's like a civil war actually. Like it's like the more reasonable fans are fighting against like just the batshit insanity. It's just some tiring toxicity, man.
I'll say this. I said something about this movie yesterday on Jam with Jack that I think people will be very interested in. But I'll say it again. It has to deal with exactly what you said a couple seconds ago about the stasis of JO, which, I think, again, it's one of those things where it's like, if there was a concept revealed in said Snyder Cut, but the concept in the main JL or the Justice League or anything else was not present, then if it wasn't present in present in the main, so why would they reveal it in this movie if and so it's like there's a concept present, the concept of a character presented in the Snyder Cut that wasn't presented in any of the other movies but the Snyder Cut, and kind of was hinted in Man of Steel, but wasn't fully progressed until the Snyder Cut, but will be present in this movie. I think people can have faith.
Are you saying that like the Flash will be written as he was in the Snyder Cut?
That and something else.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying. Like the Snyder Cut can live on through the other projects to come back to it. That's probably the smartest way to do it. Like it doesn't necessarily, because again, they haven't said that. They did say it's the end, but it made a shit ton of money. Both Blu-ray, 4K, and streaming sales. It made a shit ton of money. They would be downright dumb to just ignore that. So that's why I've been saying it's in stasis. It's just living on through other properties.
Right. Well, my probably the biggest hint would be Man of Steel and JL and Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
If the concept of a character that was progressed from Man of Steel to Snyder Cut and possibly progressed also in BVS, and it was supposed to progress even more later on, but couldn't, but now it's being progressed in this movie. I think, it can have, people can have faith that WB executives might not know what the directors are doing per se, but the directors know what they're doing.
It's just a lot of like, and like this is not pointed at anyone in general. It's just that there's so many people in the Snyder fandom that like it's like their opinion is like how it should be done, and how it is law. And I'm like, the company doesn't have to listen to you. And in fact, that's exactly what they're doing. They're not listening to you. So why are you being this way? Like, it's just, but yeah, like, I think like, I do think that Flashpoint will surprise fans with like how like connected it's going to be somewhat connected. Like they're not going to say it officially, but it's going to be connected to Snyderverse in some capacity. It is.
It's yeah. But yeah, that's what ties the internet went out, and we hit that hour mark. So thank you Metaverse for coming by and stopping by and joining us today so much, and thank you Suri, thank you Gabe, thank you Nick, thank you Adam, thank you everyone that's in the chat that joined us today. We really thank you guys, and we thank William for joining us earlier. And we had a fun discussion about Star Wars, Marvel, and DCU, like all the great things that are going on right now, and some things that some people have concerns about. But it was a fun discussion, and we do it for you, and we do it for the culture.